Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Beth and Rip's spin-off title suggests John Dutton's daughter will redeem his Yellowstone failures. Beth Dutton, Kelly Riley, and Rip Wheeler's Cole Hauser Yellowstone spin-off officially has a title, and it suggests that John Dutton's, Kevin Costner, daughter will redeem his ranching shortcomings. According to a Bloomberg report, Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spin-off is titled Dutton Ranch. While it's just a title, the moniker has a lot to say about what to expect from Beth and Rip after leaving the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch in Yellowstone Season 5. While Kevin Costner's Yellowstone exit caused screenwriter Taylor Sheridan to close out the original series, many believed some continuation would exist, with Riley and Hauser as its leads. Yellowstone aficionados turned out to be right, with a report breaking the news that Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser would reprise Beth and Rip in an offshoot, as opposed to continuing the original series with Yellowstone Season 6. Still, it sounds like Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spin-off will have a lot of crossover with the original, and its title is the biggest indication yet. While John's ranch was formerly known as the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch, it was often just called the Yellowstone or Dutton Ranch. That said, Beth and Rip will carry on a crucial aspect of John Dutton's legacy. While he left a massive legacy behind him, John Dutton failed the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch. While the ranch had been in John Dutton's family for nearly 150 years, his son, Case, Luke Grimes, was forced to sell the land in Yellowstone Season 5's finale. Case and his big sister, Beth, simply didn't have the money to maintain the ranch. When John died, his children couldn't afford the massive inheritance tax that came with taking stewardship of the ranch, and it left them with few options to preserve what their family fought for. Ultimately, John failed his family. Case selling the ranch to the Broken Rock tribe was a beautiful ending, restoring the land to the ancestors of its indigenous stewards. The ending even fulfilled Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone prophecy from 1883. Still, John's decisions were short-sighted and left Case with no choice but to relinquish the ranch. Ultimately, John's failures lie in his unwillingness to modernize and adapt, unable to turn a profit on the cattle business, leaving his children without a feasible way to carry on his legacy. That said, Beth had the skill to change that, and she showed us how. Beth and Rip's Yellowstone spin-off title, Dutton Ranch, suggests that John's daughter will redeem his failures, like she set out to in Yellowstone Season 5. In the final chapter of Costner's Yellowstone series, Beth points out to her father repeatedly that the ranch's business model, not turning a profit, isn't sustainable. Beth is further frustrated when her father proposes to accrue millions of dollars in loans to lease land in Texas, after the cowboys discover that the herd is liable to contract brucellosis unless they're moved to faraway pastures, somewhere John doesn't have to feed them hay all winter. In Yellowstone Season 5's finale, Beth buys a ranch outside of Dillon, Montana. We get to see Beth and Rip settle in at the end of the series, suggesting that they will continue to live the cowboy's dream. The title Dutton Ranch confirms that Beth and Rip's future is in ranching, and it also suggests the power couple will maintain an important part of their past, keeping Dutton Ranch, while dropping the Yellowstone moniker. If Beth can take her finance aptitude and apply it to a successful business model for ranching, that could redeem John's shortcomings as a modern rancher, with her and Wheeler as the new representatives of the Dutton family name in Montana. Yellowstone also told us how Beth could build on her father's legacy exactly. In Yellowstone Season 5, Beth questions her family's main income, wondering why a steak turns such a high profit, yet they see so little of its yield. John tells Beth that ranchers don't take home a higher portion because they peddle the cattle, not the meat. Beth immediately has a solution. Beth wants to figure out the repacker that John Dutton says bars family ranches like his from making a profit on the cattle they work so hard to raise. as Rip Wheeler carries on the ranching legacy that he helped John build and protect. Rip will surely be more open to Beth's innovative ideas than John, leveraging Beth's finance degree and track record of making million-dollar deals for Schwartz and Meyer. After John's death, Beth can finally overcome his stubbornness and build something that can survive and even thrive, where the original Dutton first announced a spin-off centered around Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler. Longtime fans of Yellowstone held their breath. The ruthless businesswoman and her hardened cowboy husband have always embodied the fire and grit of Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western saga. But this time, it's not just about survival, vengeance, or legacy, it's about redemption. And if the rumored spin-off title is any indication, Beth Dutton is set to do something her father never could: heal the land and the family it almost destroyed. The title that sparked 1,000 questions. While Paramount has yet to officially confirm the final title, early leaks suggest a working name of Dutton's legacy: Redemption Ridge. For fans familiar with Beth's tormented journey and John Dutton's unrelenting grip on his empire, the subtitle Redemption Ridge hits like a branding iron, sharp, symbolic, and seared with intention. The word redemption, in particular, carries a weight that neither John nor any of his sons ever truly shouldered. But Beth, she's the wild card. The one who has carried scars deeper than bloodlines, who burned bridges only to rebuild them with fire. She's never asked for forgiveness. But maybe, just maybe, she's ready to give it, to the land, to herself, and to a legacy teetering on the edge of moral collapse. A new chapter in the Dutton saga. Throughout Yellowstone, John Dutton stood as the flawed patriarch of a dynasty defined by violence, control, and an unyielding sense of ownership over Montana's Yellowstone ranch. His empire was built on tough choices, most of them questionable, many of them damning. His children became products of that world: Jamie, lost in identity and betrayal; Case, torn between blood and belonging; and Beth, forged in tragedy and spite. Beth, however, was always different. Sharp-tongued, emotionally scared, and fearless to the bone, she embodied the dual nature of the Dutton legacy: protector and destroyer. Paired with Rip, an orphan-turned-enforcer whose loyalty was as deadly as it was absolute, they were the dark heart of the ranch, its unofficial king and queen of controlled chaos. Yet in the final seasons of Yellowstone, we saw something shift. Beth, who once viewed love as a liability, clung harder to Rip and to the simple beauty of a life outside her father's shadow. And as John grew older and more isolated, Beth seemed to glimpse the truth. The empire he built could not last if it was only guarded by bullets and blood. Redemption, reimagined. If the title Redemption Ridge is more than just poetic branding, it could point to a transformative arc, not only for Beth, but for the very idea of what it means to be a Dutton. In the spin-off, Beth and Rip have reportedly relocated, perhaps by necessity, perhaps by choice. The ridge in question could be a new frontier, far from the Yellowstone ranch, where the couple has a chance to start over. For the first time, Beth may not be fighting to preserve her father's legacy, but to redefine it. This isn't about returning to the land. It's about returning from it, from violence, from vengeance, from generational sin. Beth's character has always carried the burden of her mother's death, her father's disapproval, and her own infertility like weapons. But in a land stripped of her father's voice, she may finally find her own. And it's there, in that silence, that redemption might speak loudest. Rip Wheeler, the quiet catalyst. Rip's role in this redemption journey is just as pivotal. Though often overshadowed by Beth's combustive energy, Rip is her anchor. His loyalty and moral compass, however blood-stained, ground her in ways no one else could. While Beth fights her inner demons, Rip manages the outer world, bridging brutality with quiet compassion. In Redemption Ridge, Rip may find his own healing, not from his past, but from the man he became to survive it. Freed from the demands of the Dutton Ranch, he might be allowed to nurture rather than enforce. What does Rip look like as a father? As a builder, not a breaker. If Beth's arc is about emotional redemption, Rip's may be about spiritual peace. The ghost of John Dutton. Even in absence, John Dutton will loom large over the spin-off. Redemption isn't just about forgiving oneself, it's about reconciling with the ghosts of the past. Beth's complicated love-hate relationship with her father shaped her into a weapon for his cause. Now, with John potentially gone or retired, Beth must choose, emulate him or evolve beyond him. His failures weren't merely about land or legacy. They were about people, his inability to truly love his children without conditions, to trust them with his empire, or to accept a future he couldn't control. These were the fractures in the Dutton dynasty. Beth may be the last one standing who can mend them.